Okay, welcome to our Wednesday Lunch and Learn here at CETEC Group, our second and a half week of doing online learning sessions. We're taking these opportunities to have, in the initial stages, some overview discussions about opportunities where ETC lighting and power controls, as well as generic controls, can be used. We've covered over the last couple of weeks a few different topics, and I would love to direct anybody that is interested in looking at the ones that we've done up to this date. You can get at them both on our YouTube channel or on our website at cetecgroup.ca. There's a click link right on the main page for webinars, and everything that we have done has been recorded and posted there for easy playback and sharing. So we'll get today's kicked off. A few reminders on the right-hand side of the screen. There is a Q&A session. It's marked with a question mark and a little text balloon. You can jump in there. We have both Michael Harris and Charles Cadeau on the line who would be happy to answer your questions in both English or French. And we'll go through. So today's topic is about ETC commercial and architectural systems. And you'll take note that I haven't put lighting in there as a primary thing. And I think that one of the highlights of today that we want to make sure that we cover is an overview of some of the things that electronic theater controls is able to do that has nothing to do with lighting specifically. And I'm going to kind of take us down a road of a little bit of the website to review some of the product categories that are there and talk about some topical discussions. And I'm also going to talk about, at the end of this, we're going to cover some actual case studies. We're going to show you a few of the installs that we've actually done throughout the country and talk about what products were used and how we went about doing certain things. So that being said, an overview of what we're going to do today. So a brief discussion of the ETC commercial lighting and power controls, some commercial venues, some types and typical bill of materials, some architectural venues as well, types and typical bill of materials, and a quick overview in both of those gamuts of the existing Canadian installation base. Again, the Q&A is up and running. If you have any questions you'd like to put up there, the guys will take an opportunity to answer them. And at the end, I will open the floor and our moderators will have me answer any for the group that need to be assessed. So that being said, what ETC products work here? The whole lineup of ETC offerings, from power controls and their Echo lineup, Echo relay panels, room controllers, and load controllers, their wireless solutions with EchoFlex load controllers, and that also includes a lot of sensors, motion detectors, occupancy sensors, daylight harvesting sensors, window and door sensors, moisture detection. They have sensors that have to do with water fill levels, and a lot of I/O interfaces for HVAC as well. So EchoFlex is a very broad product range, and again, if you'd like any more information on that, we can cover that independently or on a one-on-one session. ETC's most powerful power control system and lighting control system they have is Paradigm. We're going to look at Paradigm just briefly as we go through this and talk about some things. Their main show control environment for controlling, again, not just lighting, but power control, distribution, I/O interfaces, and inevitably even automation systems would be Mosaic. They have a line of foundry panels, which are mini panels that we're going to look at really briefly. And then we move into the bigger load-based panels with Sensor and Sensor IQ for power and lighting control as well. So that being said, I'm going to actually just switch over, hopefully, if I can run this well, over to the ETC website. So you guys should be seeing that now. If you haven't been, please take a moment to go and browse. I would say maybe more than a moment, take an hour and go and view the ETC website. I'm going to skip the navigation and jump right into a few key components that I want to talk about here. So in the ETC offering, they have broken up their control system and their big power distribution systems into kind of two different market segments or product categories. So we talked about Paradigm. You can see in the image that's up on the screen here, Paradigm is their main control processor system. Paradigm offers thousands of human interface devices, so that's button stations and occupancy sensors, through touch panels, configurable touch panels, all the way from 4.5 inch to 19 inch or to 70 inch customizable touch panels. They also have processors and software that are used for their lighting systems, both in commercial and architectural operations. They also do entertainment lighting controls with Paradigm as well. We'll talk about that a little bit more when we get into our commercial venues. Mosaic is, again, a DIN rail mounted system. Mosaic is really meant to be a workhorse for heavy computation and controls. Mosaic is mainly a system based on DIN rail mount, and you'll notice that in a lot of the commercial environments, Mosaic and commercial lighting systems are installed mainly in junction boxes in electrical rooms. They're not necessarily forward facing for humans to interface with. So the whole Mosaic line is designed around a low voltage power supply system and meant to be DIN rail mounted in remote locations. They're fanless. They do not require cooling. They do not require any real serviceability. There's no moving parts. They're solid state. And we use them very, very often in commercial lighting applications and architectural lighting applications where it's a one-stop, set it and forget it. They'll do exterior lighting that we're going to talk about here in a little bit as well. The last couple of systems are Echo. Echo is designed to be an independent. That's interesting. Got a phone call coming in. Echo is designed to be an independent power control system, and Echo can integrate with any of the other ones above, both Paradigm and Mosaic. But Echo can act standalone. So they have room control devices. If we look at that, they have room control devices in Echo that offer mini panels or discrete load controls, as well as a variety of stations. Echo also happens to have touch panels that work in the Echo environment, as well as interfaces for BACnet, contact closure interfaces, blind interfaces, Bluetooth and network interfaces that allows us to do AV integrations with a much smaller and much simpler system than in the past. A lot of the boardrooms and AV integration environments make use of the interfaces that we can do with Echo systems alone. So a small ballroom as an example, or a small boardroom or a presentation facility may not need the heavy lifting of Paradigm, and we can accomplish it with some of the responsive controls and zone controls that are in the Echo ecosystem, Echo Eco. Let's see, we'll go back to architectural. That's followed up with EchoFlex. We talked earlier about EchoFlex controls. The EchoFlex controls are actually manufactured at ETC in Wisconsin. And ETC actually owns a Canadian company called EchoFlex in Squamish, BC, where they distribute these products in a very, very wide demographic of or market channels of product solutions here. So they have quite a number of switches, sensors, controls, and interface gateways. A couple examples of this is we do have some power controls happening in a series of courtrooms across the country where we're interfacing with some AV integration systems using these boxes here. They're Echo contact closure interface, and it's doing simple power switching to some remote devices outside of the courtroom. And it has nothing to do with an actual lighting control system. So we'll go back one more time. The bulk of the power controls are housed under power controls under the website here. So you go products and power controls. You're going to find that it is derived and divided up into some major sections. So racks and panels being our load-based systems, our mains fed relay, dimmer rack, and remote automated breaker systems. They are meant to be fed with mains fed 3-phase or single-phase power, and they're meant for large load environments where we have 48 or 96 circuits all to one main panel. We have a distributed load system, dimming and control and power control system that is divided up into those smaller mini panels as well as wireless solutions. We have emergency lighting. We're probably the #1 emergency lighting, both power control, as in switching of the high voltage and low voltage controls as well, both DMX 0 to 10. There's a new launch that if you get an opportunity today to have a look at it, it is the LED driver system for, I think they were calling it Nevis, and the F drive system that was just launched at ETC's website. If you have an opportunity, you can go and have a look at that. We also do main power distribution for either small load distribution where multi-circuits are on raceways on plug-in strips, outlet boxes throughout the venue, distributed track, and architectural track as well. So ETC's offering of power distribution specifically, not necessarily just for lighting, is quite deep. If you get an opportunity, you can go and have a look at the power distribution section here, and they talk about their NEMA enclosures as well as their custom manufacturer plates, gridiron junction boxes, or even just general junction boxes. And we're not limited to specifically dealing with lighting control protocols on any of their control plates as well. We can do custom plate manufacturing for pretty much any integration you'd like to accomplish. The data track system from ETC is meant to work with their architectural lighting fixtures, which again are seen here in some of the photos. But we have data track, which includes 2 circuits of 120-volt power that can be independently switched or dimmed to feed both power and DMX data out to our architectural lighting control fixtures. We have a Desire lineup. We have Iridian FPZs and wash fixtures, as well as Source 4 minis. We also have the track adapters to be able to put third-party heads on the data track as well. So if you've got a dedicated custom design fixture or another manufacturer's, we probably have a solution to get track adapters to put you on our architectural data tracks as well. Let's go back one more time. So those 2 sections are what we're going to be covering and talking about today, the power controls and the architectural controls, or commercial lighting controls as they are. So I'm going to jump back to this slide presentation for a moment. So commercial venues. There is a stigmatism that ETC is a lighting company and a lighting company only, and although that is true, they do some of the best lighting controls out there. They have a considerable offering to just power distribution, power control, and third-party power and controls. And when I say controls, I mean low voltage, DALI, Ethernet, 0 to 10, BACnet, contact closure interfaces, whatever it may be. So some of the highlighted points in when we look at commercial venues that ETC shines on, and we can really take advantage of some of their technologies, are in the power control and load monitoring realms. And when we talk about load monitoring, we're talking about the ability to give real-time data for the actual power or wattage of electricity being drawn on each of the circuits in real time. The ETC Sensor IQ panels, Echo Relay panels, and a few other devices can give real-time power monitoring for up to the rated load per breaker of what's actually being drawn on each circuit. And that data can be brought back into a variety of display points within the ETC architecture. We can bring it back to Paradigm that allows us to give real-time monitoring statistics on the touchscreens to the end users. So if we have a mobile, we'll say a cruise ship as an example, we can give real-time monitoring for the current power being drawn on the series of circuits and panels, and bring that back to a master control center where it's giving that information. We can also do data logging and recording of that power monitoring and load monitoring. So that allows us to, say, biweekly or monthly produce a report to a facilities operations manager, or even the, say, Ontario Hydro, that gives them real-time data on power drawn and allows them to work on incentive programs for both power rebates, as well as real-time information for being able to load shed when there's a demand. So we'll talk quickly about load shedding. California has this mainly. It doesn't happen a lot in Ontario and Quebec yet. Vancouver is starting. But load shedding is a demand response environment where the service provider or even facilities provider can provide information to the power control system or lighting control system that says, hey, we're in a high demand rate right now. We need you guys to shed all non-essential loads. So it's the social distancing of power controls. The systems that we have, all of our systems, Foundry, Sensor, Echo, even Echo Flex, have demand response dedicated inputs at the panels, and the control systems have the ability to do load shedding through the intelligence of the program environment and user interfaces. So load shedding is something that will be becoming a requirement here in Ontario and Quebec very, very soon. The systems that you're going to be putting in today or retrofitting tomorrow, we're going to want to make sure that they're able to do that. We have in our commercial venues, we have the ability to do mini panels or mains fed larger panels. So again, in that realm of small 4-circuit or 8-circuit mini panels that are distributed throughout a building, or the dedicated mains fed relay panels in the 24, 48, 72, and 96 sizes. In our commercial venues can be used for, like I keep saying, power distribution as well as lighting in common. So as an example, we have used quite a number of times Echo relay panels or Sensor IQ panels to provide audio sequencing power for large performance audio systems, for pump, fan, and air handling units, and examples like that. We'll touch on that in just a minute. Our commercial venues need more than just the power controls. They have to have the ability to interface with our occupancy sensors or even third-party occupancy sensors, vacancy sensors, which operate in a different set of criteria, daylight sensors and daylight harvesting, or ambient light monitoring for a physical space. We have a variety of sensors in all of those 3 classes that are either wall or surface or through beam or remoted or exterior. We have sensors pretty much for every size and flavor that are required. BACnet integration is important in commercial venues. When we're dealing with, say, parking garages, BACnet integration to the building BMS gives them status monitoring of the power control or lighting circuits in the parking facilities. There's quite a number of facilities now that have occupancy sensors on each of the floors to give them occupancy status of not only parking spaces, but people in the stairwell corridors and whatnot, and we're offering that information back over to BACnet, which is interfaced with the security systems and so on and so forth. The commercial offering that ETC has, again, I'm going to continue to ramble on about this, but it's not just lighting control, it's obviously power controls. And our power controls can be used for quite a number of things. There's irrigation systems that we have running off of them that are running remote pumps for sprinklers, irrigation, whether it be air handling units and fans, emergency egress, or automation environments where the system that we're using is triggering external features as well that have very little to do with our lighting. So again, our commercial venue offering is not just a lighting offering. And we're going to look at some of those venues in just a moment. When we're talking about architectural venues, we commonly think of the public areas just in front of a performance space. But again, this is something that's can be leveraged with the ETC lighting controls and power controls. We can get outside of just that common space in a lobby, and we can move into other venues. Paradigm in the ETC architectural offering as a control system is prime candidate for being a lighting master system interface for a large venue or even campus-wide. The architectural system and software that Paradigm is currently controlling most of the museums in Canada, as well as most of the Disney parks and hundreds of other architectural setups that are not just entertainment based. The systems are primed and very, very powerful for doing lighting control of exterior lighting, The one thing that ETC really puts a lot of passion, effort into, and it shows in the feature sets that are available, is their exterior color control and how they manage color. It's really important when you're dealing with an architectural venue and you're dealing with interior or exterior lighting that are color. There's going to be hundreds of different types of fixtures you're going to need to be able to integrate and control. And because every fixture manufacturer is different, and because everybody does color a little bit differently, and because the human eye responds to color intensity changes and hue changes differently between different venues and different types of daylight interactions and whatnot, it's really, really important that you have an architectural control system that understands color at its core. There's many systems out there that have the ability to change color. They can go red and green and blue, but they do not necessarily have a good understanding of the color control system in the back end, what color space you're actually working within, how it is actually comprising those colors across multiple manufacturers, across multiple different ways of producing color, with whether it be LED light or subtractive light, and how that interacts with daylight. Most of your architectural systems nowadays are also a color tunable white, where we've got mainly architectural fixtures in lobbies and public spaces, interior public corridors, washrooms, even utility spaces, back of house, hallways, stairwells. And a lot of those venues also are starting to have, a lot of the spaces are starting to have color tunable fixtures, where the LED fixture has the ability to change its color temperature from somewhere in a daylight color range down to an incandescent color range, so 2700 to say 6000 Kelvin, where you can get quite the color swing. And when you get into venues where there's exterior lighting influence, so a venue that has a large glass atrium or large glass facades, and the ambient daylight from outside is going to be interacting with the interior lighting, it's super important that in our architectural systems we have that good understanding of color space. You don't get your pukey colors when the interior lighting design doesn't line up with what's currently going on outside with the sun. And the use of our daylight sensors and color temperature sensors can really help bring your vision for your lighting system to life there. Architectural systems don't include just lighting, but very commonly we're interfacing with DALI or DMX, RDM enabled, or 0 to 10 fixtures. We have a complement of interfaces for all of those. They're all native on the Paradigm backbone and architecture. So we're not using third-party devices to interface with any of those protocols. Again, in one of our sessions previously last week, we talked about emergency lighting. And all of our power control devices are UL 924 listed, and our mains emergency power switching or upstream power switching devices are UL 1008. And again, if you get an opportunity to go back and look at that emergency power discussion, it would bring to light, no pun intended, some of the key components of what's needed to think about an emergency lighting, egress lighting. Architectural venues are not just about the fixtures or power controls. Again, whether it's switching outlets on the floor in public spaces, controlling pumps remotely, controlling fans, or ingress or egress notifications, our control systems have thousands of station options. Button stations, occupancy sensors, like I said, have a look at the website. You will find pretty much every flavor of a station you would be interested in. And because of that, we've got quite a number of custom touch panels as well. The architecture for control in architectural environments, the architecture is a key component of the design, and the user interfaces kind of need to work with that architecture. So we have the ability to do custom graphics, custom user navigation, the ability to do lockouts on touchscreens or map-based navigation. So if you've got wayfinding involved in your environment, in your architectural venue, and you need to have that integrated onto the touchscreen for the lighting controls or power controls, we have the ability to do that. And again, you've probably heard me say it a number of times today, but best color controls in the industry, and that is absolutely the truth. So quick conversation about some venues that are currently running this. Now, these lists in Canada are thousands long. Just this past year, we surpassed 1,800 installs of ETC equipment across the country in a commercial venue, and I had to pick a few. So here we are. Mainly when we talk about commercial lighting, we talk about convention facilities. But you'll notice in here that we've got some parking lots and parkades, as well as the exterior power control and lighting control, say at the City of Kingston. There's a live cam that actually looks at that. If you wanted to jump online for the City of Kingston, you can find that live cam for that installation. The Metro Convention Center and Roundup Center and Telus Convention Center and the Hyatt Convention Center, and I mean, I could go on and on and on about convention centers. We have systems in all of them. They are mainly doing the main ballrooms and public corridors. The Metro Convention Center, which I wanted to show you guys here, and if anybody wants to reach out to us, we can send you the specific project profile on that system. I'm unfortunately had a little bug with some software, so I'm not able to share my other screen right now. But the Metro Convention Center is the whole building in the south building of the Metro Convention Center. So we're doing all of the public corridors, the main ballroom lighting control, occupancy sensors throughout the building, egress paths, stairwells, washrooms, and utility rooms as well. We're doing power control and distribution in a number of the utility rooms as well. So we're switching outlets on the walls and whatnot. So those types of installations, not to be forgotten, but the Disney World parks, so Disney World in Florida and Disney all around the world uses ETC controls for very, very many things. There's whole theme parks that are run on their commercial power control, power distribution systems down in Florida specifically. When we talk about architectural venues here in Canada, I've put Museum of. So the Museum of History, Science and Tech, Nature, Human Rights, which includes Ottawa, most of the smaller museums here in Toronto, Human Rights is out in Winnipeg, and across the country, we have architectural lighting systems in all of those spaces. They're doing everything from exhibit lighting to public corridors and exterior lighting. We're working on a design for an upgrade on a few of them right now. And you will find, if you were to reach out to most of those venue owners and operators, you'll find some pretty happy campers there with the systems that they have in place and the way that we're able to control them. Parliament Hill is a good example of an architectural system. So the recent renovations at West Block, which I'm going to show you in just a minute, include our power control system as well as our lighting control system throughout the building, exterior lighting systems like Desjardins in Toronto or the Eaton Centre, and hundreds of hotels and restaurants all across the country have architectural lighting controls from ETC. The Paradigm system and Unison systems are very, very common in restaurants. There's nice standalone systems. They give the end users the timed event functionality that they need. They give them the ability for color monitoring, exterior color changes, and changing their themed environments on the fly. So I'm going to switch back to a discussion of some of these venues. So the first one that's up on the screen is actually the Calgary Stampede grounds. It was originally called the Roundup Center, and we did it almost 15, maybe plus years ago. And they've recently upgraded to their second generation of ETC controls that are in there. It's now called the BMO Center. And again, we're doing mainly architectural lighting in this venue where all of the breakout rooms, common spaces, washrooms are under the control of ETC controls. There's a master control station that sits at the front office desk for facilities and allows people to change and remotely control the rooms as well as check status of the system. The Metro Convention Center, which we talked about earlier, is a very well integrated system for both power control switching as well as lighting controls. The Metro Convention Center South Building is a facility that has somewhere in the vicinity of 40 breakout rooms and 7 very, very large ballrooms, 2 of which you can drive semi-trucks inside of. They have integrated systems for wireless control. There's an operations manager custom touch panel that lives in both the facilities management and the security offices that allow those different players and stakeholders in the building to be able to monitor not only the lighting status, but they're actually looking for occupancy state in all of the breakout rooms, as well as being able to provide that information to the HVAC system, where we're giving integrated information over to the air handling system. If there's occupancy in a room, they are turning on the cooling. If it's in the schedule for the room to be used, we're getting information back from the BACnet system to be able to enable the lighting or change the sensor statuses in the rooms. West Block. West Block is our most recent large architectural lighting system, and West Block's a very, very unique project. We were very fortunate to be chosen as the main performance lighting and architectural lighting manufacturer in the integrations in the building. There are other manufacturers that have taken up some of the smaller independent MP offices, but we have ETC lighting controls, power distribution and switching, as well as the emergency lighting system for the whole building. It includes all the public corridors, all of the committee and breakout rooms where there's also broadcast lighting integration going on, and obviously, as you see here in the photo, the House of Commons itself, which is lit. I've shown you a picture that's not shining. We're not viewing the lights that are actually up on the walls, but they actually have a broadcast lighting system in here as well as an architectural lighting piece. And again, this is a color tunable architectural lighting system. Obviously, everybody's seen, I was going to say C-SPAN, but it's CPAC, online and the broadcast to the House of Commons. That system has a color tunable system. The roof at House of Commons is a glass roof, and it has a pillow glass situation up there with controllable blinds. So as the ambient light coming from the outside is changed, we have the ability to monitor and change the artificial lighting levels inside, as well as have tunable settings for different broadcast looks or tours and whatnot. House of Commons and the West Block ETC lighting system is one of the largest LED deployed integrated lighting systems in Canada. It has somewhere in the vicinity of 300 motion detectors in the building, and the system is able to monitor and self-heal itself. So as an example, in the evenings when there's nobody in the facility, security has the ability to turn the system to a nighttime setting where the lighting levels are at minimum egress and even off in most spaces. And as they do their sweeps through the building and walk around, the occupancy sensors are able to pick them up, show status of where people are in the building, as well as turn the lights on ahead of them and intelligently work ahead of them and behind them as they do their sweeps throughout the building. The system has a master interface that is integrated to a common set of touch panels and a virtual server. Allows for remote monitoring and access as well. We have the ability to dial in, troubleshoot, and serve as a resource to the House of Commons and the Public Works Canada on this venue. The details on the Parliament Hill system, again, are available at any time. If you reach out to the CETEC group or field service, we'd be happy to talk you through and give you some examples of what's actually in Parliament Hill. Some of the other nondescript, some of the other venues that are outside of the norm, I just wanted to take you actually to our field service website for a minute, and I wanted to show you a couple of different venues that may catch your eye. So on our main launch page, we have this colorful suspension bridge system, and this is actually Capilano. This is in Vancouver. And the Capilano suspension bridge is a nature environment where you go and you pay money to go on the suspension bridge and the cliff walk and whatnot. And it actually has a very large power distribution. They have thousands and thousands of strings of color-controlled Christmas lights and distributed wash lights throughout the venue. I think there's another photo down there that kind of shows it. And we had to come up with a unique take on dealing with lighting control in this venue. What we ended up actually doing was putting a distributed power control system in the whole venue. We are running with use of the Paradigm system and interfaces and mosaic boxes. We're actually running large high current contactors, and we're turning off 100 amp panel feeds throughout the park, where they're able to turn on whole panels to light up all of the Christmas lights on, say, those 10 150-foot tall trees. And that actually is distributed throughout the park with the fiber optic links, picking up the RGB color controls anywhere there is actually DMX or 0 to 10 controlled lighting. We've done that. The venue continues to expand. We've got integration now with the audio and video control systems in there. And this is a really good example of a themed environment, whether it be a theme park or public parks, or thinking outside of the box. Like I said, ETC power distribution and power controls are doing many more things than just lighting. And again, when we moved into our themed environments, we're doing pump controls, we're doing water controls, and obviously air handling and fans as well. One of the last ones I wanted to bring to attention as we leave is, again, a commercial lighting scenario. The one on the left here is actually BMO Field. BMO Field, let's see if I click on it, if it actually takes us there. Nope, doesn't. BMO Field, we're dealing with all of the field lighting. The manufacturer that we're controlling is Ephesus. Ephesus is a manufacturer that makes very large LED color tunable or even color controllable stadium lighting. And we have a mosaic control system in here that is doing distributed lighting control and power distribution and switching. It's very important when you do large architectural or large commercial systems that you consider also your parasitic load, where you want to turn off the actual power to the drivers in the system when the lighting's, say, not being used and whatnot. So again, ETC is not just a performance lighting system. We deal with so many offerings in the commercial and architectural realms, as well as the ability to have control systems that are not necessarily even interfacing with any of those. I have a couple of architectural systems with Paradigm that are actually controlling rigging control systems and not necessarily any power or lighting. So with that being said, I know it's been a 35-minute ramble of my voice coming down the pipe. I'm just going to check with my teammates here in the Q&A. Michael, do you have anything to add?
The only thing I would add is back onto the ETC website, there is a link for a My ETC account, which is an account you can sign up for to receive marketing and technical information directly from ETC, and you can tailor that account to suit your needs. Also on that site, you can find lots of good information as it is available through other channels on the website as well. So there's the My ETC link. Under the product tabs for each of the products, as you pull down documentation, you'll also find all of the drawings, specs, if it's a lighting fixture, IES files, application brochures, and design guides as well. And under the last tab of support and training are a lot of tutorials on products. So everything you possibly could need is available on the website, or you can call any one of us or email any one of us and reach out to us, and we can help you as well with any requirements you might have or questions you might have. So lots of wealth of knowledge there, and certainly live applications for virtual tours of facilities. We have those documentations as well. I posted in the Q&A section the link to the Navis, the new fixture that was just launched last week, and F-Drive LED power supplies. Those are easily sourced through the website as well. So that's all I have to add.
Awesome. Charles, did you have anything you wanted to add to the presentation today?
Hello, no, all good. Maybe just a few words in French for my pals in Quebec. So, si vous avez des questions, vous savez comment me rejoindre, donc ne vous gênez pas. Et il y avait une question de l'SM sur une petite fixture. On sait que Color Source va sortir un junior à un moment donné. Donc, ça sera un in-between. Donc, voilà. That's it.
All right. Well, thank you very much, everybody. I'd like to remind everybody that we're going to continue to do these. We're going to get a little bit more specific starting next week, and we're going to drill into some specific product offerings and do less of the topical overview. We're going to deal with, again, some specific paradigm and software discussions about how that software can be integrated. I will get our presentation up for those things as well. If you have any questions, comments, be sure to email CETEC Group. You can get links from our website for each of our staff members, or fill in the information request on the website and it'll get distributed out to one of our team. Again, I hope everybody's being safe. We will get through this together, and we look forward to working on your projects on the far side. So thank you and have a wonderful day.